This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're taking a look at the Emigre Backpack, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. If you found this video helpful, make sure you subscribe so we can continue making content like this to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. So as you can see, this pack is very sleek. It pretty much holds its shape very well, depending on what you have stuffed inside of it. I have it really packed full right now with some rigid items. So you see it does have a little bit of the lines aren't completely straight, but I still think it looks very nice. I just wanted to address that first thing. So the materials that we're working with here it's aerobic nylon. It is recycled and it is Blue Sign approved. I think these materials look really nice. They do a really good job keeping water out, and they're also quite durable. I've been very happy. It's almost like a distressed look, but at the same time, I don't know, it's fancy. It's kind of hard to describe it, but you can see it, so I don't need to spend a bunch of time on that. But overall, very happy with these materials and how everything kind of comes together. We got YKK zippers, nothing to complain about there. I mean, you guys have probably heard of YKK if you've watched this channel for a while. These poles are metal, which can get a little bit slippery when they get wet, but I mean, I guess that's kind of to be expected. And they are a little bit loud. Sometimes, you get jangly, but by far not the worst that I've come across. But any kind of metal poles are going to have a little bit of a jangle, but no issues opening and closing on either of the compartments or anything like that. We do have some, I believe they are from Duraflex here, these adjusters on the shoulder strap, easy to adjust. Just really nothing negative to report on any of the materials or hardware here. It just works. As you can see here, we do have a luggage pass-through, so you can attach this onto your rolling luggage. As you're going through the airport or, traveling through a city to get to the airport, you can do that just to make it a little bit easier on yourself. And then you have these shoulder straps to, use the bag when don't have it on your rolling luggage. We have a handle here on the top and a handle here on the side, which are very handy. I know that sounds silly, but because you have one on each side, if you are stowing this above or below the seat, you can grab it out easily no matter how you have it oriented. Just generally makes the pack easy, and they kind of stay out of the way when you're not using them, which I dig. They're not really, going out too far off of the pack, so you can grab them. And it's also handy because these shoulder straps are stowable, which we'll get into. So if you stow these away, you can kind of treat this as almost like a little mini briefcase or something like that. But overall, a very sleek looking pack. We do have the Emigre logo up here on the top. Again, just very minimalistic, nicely placed, and you can't even really tell it's a logo until you get right up on top of it. So we have a very basic harness system here, and if you just heard that, you might think that it's not comfortable, but it actually is surprisingly comfortable. So we have quite a bit of padding here on these shoulder straps. No aeration or anything like that, and they are just a straight line, and they're not very thick, but they're just kind of comfortable. I like the padding a lot. It's very well designed. These are just a straight line, which might not work for every body type if you have a larger frame or you're a bit like a wider frame, wider set of shoulders. These might dig in a little bit, but overall I found them to be very comfortable, and that's kind of across the board here at Pack Hacker. We've all found them to be pretty comfortable. You get down to the bottom here of the shoulder straps, we have this little clip here. So you could unclip these from the bottom, and then there's a zipper here at the top, and you can shove those inside there so they're out of the way. And then once they're inside there, you can use it more as a briefcase or something like that to stow inside the overhead compartment, under your seat, whatever. They're just kind of out of the way, good for storage in general. The back panel doesn't have a ton of padding, but I'd say it has, enough padding to stay comfortable. The materials hold their shape pretty well, so nothing from the inside is going to be, poking you. At least within reason. So overall, found this to be pretty comfortable. For some people, it might not be quite enough, but again, this is not a huge travel backpack. You're just kind of stowing what you need for the day in here. So with what you can stow inside of here, I think it is pretty comfortable, and I haven't really had any issues with that so far. So this is how I've been wearing the pack, at least for the past few days since I last adjusted it. Again, I find it to be very comfortable. We have strap keepers here on the sides to ensure that there's not a bunch of strap flying around. That's something I do like about this pack, is there is an incredible attention to detail for things like that. Everything is well manicured, and again, I just think it looks really nice, even if you have hardly anything inside of it, or if you have it pretty fully packed like I do right now. As you can see, these are very thin shoulder straps, so they might not work for everybody, but I've found them to be very comfortable. One thing to note is I went over those clips earlier here. Sometimes if you put on the bag after you haven't worn it for a while, or maybe you just put them on there or something like that after you had them stowed. Sometimes they can, you know, turn a little bit inside, like up in here, and it'll dig in a little bit. But eventually, if you just even go like that, it'll kind of reset itself, or maybe you might have to like just twist it a little bit. So that's not really an issue with the bag. Just sometimes you might not notice that you accidentally got that a little bit twisted. But again, as I said, very comfortable so far. As far as secondary compartments go, we have one quick use pocket here on the front. So I like where this is at because you can swing the backpack over your shoulder and it's like sitting, you know, right here, and you have, you know, pretty good access to this pocket. So right now, because I have this pack pretty fully, you know, stuffed full of gear, it's kind of hard to access this pocket. So depending on how much gear you have stowed inside of there, it's easier or harder to get in here. So right now I have my phone in here and my wallet, which is pretty tough to get out because it does have a little bit more depth to it like that. But those were the two organizers that are inside of here. There's one right there, a larger one, and then one over here, which I believe is just a little bit smaller. They're both lined with a fuzzy material, which is good for, you know, your phone screen and stuff like that to make sure it doesn't get scratched up. And then you also have some pen, one small and one large pen organizer. You might be able to throw a stylus in the larger one if you have a larger stylus. And then there is room in this pack on top here too. So it goes from about right here down to here and then across to about right here. I'm not sure why it doesn't take up the full front face or at least go all the way across, but I guess when you have the pack fully stuffed, as you can see, it is hard to use that space. So maybe that's why it doesn't go all the way, because it's kind of hard to use anyways and you might lose some stuff over there. So that's it for quick use compartments. We do have that pocket here on the back where you stow the shoulder straps, and I found that it is pretty tight, especially, you know, when you have you know, a bunch of gear stowed in the main compartment. But you could slide, you know, a book in here, maybe even a tablet or something like that. There is padding here, but it's not a ton of padding, so I wouldn't put any tech there really. I mean, I guess you could in a pinch, but you know, like a notebook or something like that if you really needed to, or you could kind of use it as like a hidden passport pocket if you wanted to. You could slide it, it goes all the way down to here. So I just thought that was worth noting. I don't think this is really designed to put stuff in, but you absolutely could if you wanted to. So moving into the main compartment, we have a pretty wide opening here. So this zipper goes, you know, from here to here. So you can really get a good, I guess you call it a big tongue to open things up. So I have a lot of gear in there right now, so I'm just gonna start bringing some of that out of there so you can kind of get a better idea of the organization. So that's a packing cube, packable rain jacket, a toiletry pouch that I actually have tech in right now because it can kind of be used for either. And then I have my actual tech pouch. This is some camera stuff in this one, and then my regular tech stuff in this one. And then I have the Emigre wash bag, which is the toiletry container. And as you, I should wash bag, not toiletry container, but interchangeable word. So as you can see, that fits in there pretty perfectly in the bottom. There's a tiny bit of room on one side, so you might be able to slip something on the side there, but that does fit really nicely in the bottom. So if you want to, you know, get all in on one system, the Emigre system here obviously has quite a bit of gear that can be used, you know, with each other, and just obviously just slots in there perfectly, and then you have all the space to work with for the rest of your gear. So I'm gonna slide that out of there. Get a full review of that one coming out or already out depending on when this one's released. But now that we're empty in here, you can see the details of what's going on. We have a bit of an admin panel here on the tongue section. So this is like a little small pocket that I didn't find myself using very much just because of how I use my gear. But this is a nice little spot for while you're traveling. You could like throw some of your money and cards or identification inside of here. So maybe you have your wallet with just some of the things you might be using throughout the day in your wallet, in your pocket. And then inside of here, you put the important stuff like, you know, your ID and your credit card or something like that. So if something happens to your wallet, you lose it or it gets stolen or something like that, everything's not gone. You still have some, you know, some stuff inside of here, maybe your hotel key in here as well. I just like it's also a little small pocket that you can put stuff like that inside. And I mean, you could use it for anything. You use it for coins. You could put your headphones in there or something like that. But that's a really good use for that. Up here, we have a large pocket. So this one goes actually all the way down to the bottom of the pack. So quite a bit of space inside of here. I've just got a organizer that I'm also testing inside of here right now. So as you can see, this does have a bit of depth, so you get a bit of depth out of that. I think that's part of the reason it was so tough for me to use this pocket. So now you see me open this front one and there's a lot more room inside of there because I've started to take stuff out of this main compartment, and especially this zippered pocket here on the top. So that's a nice place, you know, you can put a notebook there, book, really just any gear you want to be zippered down, and maybe it's a little bit larger, but you don't want it to be in the main compartment. Or you have the wash bag stuffed in the bottom so you can't get longer stuff in there. You can still put a long item inside this zippered compartment. So below that we have another zippered compartment, and this one just goes to the bottom of the organizer here, and it does have a little bit of depth. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a sidewall there. So you've got a little bit of space here, and it actually does come with this little moleskin. I can't remember the artist's name right now. I'm curious if it has it on the inside. It does not, but it's by a UK-based artist. Really neat little moleskin that they send you, which I think is a neat touch. You can, put notes in here if you need to draw pictures or something like that. You can put those in here, and it comes in the bag, and it fits nicely inside this pocket, or take it out. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. Got 4 pen holders here. So these 2 here are smaller, more for like a classic pen size. Then we have the larger ones like we did in that front compartment too. So if you have a stylus larger, like if Sharpie or something like that, you could shove that inside of there, or whatever you want to put in there. And things I like about especially this admin panel in general is that it's pretty, flat. So if you don't want to use it, you don't have to, but I think it is a pretty nice addition to be able to use it. So on the back side here, we do have a laptop compartment, little magnetic pull clasp there. So I will say it can be difficult to get the laptop out, and sometimes it rubs against these zippers, which I don't love, but especially if you have a bunch of gear in here, it can be hard to get it out without doing that. As you can see, there's just that lip up there, so getting it out can be a little bit challenging, not impossible, but just something I don't love. I think it works fine. On top of that, we have another slider here that goes all the way down to the bottom, and they have this nice softer material, so you could stow a tablet there, really whatever you want to put there, notebook, whatever, but it's nice to have 2 slots. You could even put a large computer and maybe a smaller computer on top of it if you wanted to. But apart from that, there isn't a ton more organization. We do have this side pocket here, so this is stretchy mesh, and then we have this elastic on the top here, so you could shove a water bottle inside of here if you wanted to, or you could put socks, underwear, or something like that in there too. Nice little addition because there isn't a water bottle pocket on the outside. But overall, I really digged using this pack. I think it's really well organized. You just have to decide whether the organizational features are worth that steep price point. So there you have it, the Emigre Backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.